Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on setting up funds in Gift City, operational aspects. I'm Yashasvi Jain, an associate with India Juris and the moderator for today's session. On behalf of India Juris, I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants and our esteemed panelists for the session. Thank you for taking out the time and joining us today. A brief background of India Juris. We're a leading full service law firm with a strong presence in Indian as well as global markets. We have consistently been ranked number one in private equity and venture capital transactions by Venture Intelligence Report. We have our offices pan India in cities like Delhi, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Gift City. This webinar is a part of an initiative taken up by India Juris, and we have been dedicated to disseminating information on Gift City through monthly webinars since April 2022. To take this webinar forward, we have a panel of esteemed speakers, and I am very delighted to welcome Mr. Paras Jain to our panel for this webinar. Mr. Jain is an assistant manager at IFSCA, currently serving in the division of investment funds too, where he oversees the registration of FMEs and funds at IFSCA. Prior to his tenure at IFSCA, he gained valuable experience working with esteemed organizations such as SEBI, SBI, and TCS. Welcome, Mr. Paras Jain. Next up on our panel, we have Mr. Mihir Shirgaonkar, a CFA charter holder, a chartered accountant, and an MBA PGX graduate from IIM Ahmedabad. He is the Vice President for Alternative Investments and Principal Officer for FMEs at Philip Ventures IFSC Private Limited. And he's been leading the Alternative Investments Division in Gift City, managing global PMS and upcoming AIS strategies. Welcome, Mr. Mihir. Last but not the least, we are pleased to welcome to our panel Mr. Sameer Rastogi, Managing Partner of India Juris. He has been in practice for over 25 years and has a vast experience in a variety of domestic as well as global matters. I would now request Mr. Sameer Rastogi to please formally welcome all our esteemed panelists and take this session forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Yashasvi. Thank you, Yashasvi. Welcome all the participants and our esteemed co-panelists. It is always a pleasure for all of us to interact on monthly webinars related to Gift City. And when we meet a lot of potential clients, professionals within India and outside, and everybody has one question, क्या चल रहा है Gift City में? How is Gift City? So still a lot of information and awareness is required to be disseminated across the globe to make it a big success. Still, it's going very fast. So today, Mr. Paras Jain, I was looking at his academics. He's a BTech from IIT Lucknow. My home place is Lucknow, so he has done engineering from there. So Paras, I would say the regulator, the IFSC, as I have been telling in most of the webinars, that the regulator is very proactive and the team is very energetic. It is always there to help you, those professionals who are here, who have law. So just for the knowledge of the co-panelists, I would like to inform that the participants over here are from various law firms, consultings, people who are potentially who want to set up their funds in Gift City, and various different academics and various different other genre the participants. So, welcome, Paras. I think a young team and a very energetic team would definitely help a lot of new entrants who are planning to enter into Gift City. So second panelist is Mr. Mihir Shirgaonkar. So what an excellent academics. I was just looking at it, and I think is a rank holder all through, and lot of wealth of experience and knowledge he possesses. And I'm sure that the audience and the participants would be benefited from his knowledge, and you definitely will come to know from him how the Gift City has been doing and what has been their journey so far. So we'll come to when we are having his deliberation. So to start with our webinar, first we would invite Mr. Paras Jain to let us know, to enlighten the audience about the Gift City and how it is going. And so every time people are more interested to know from the regulator directly what is it, how it is, how it's happening. So there is one question which every time people would also ask, क्या ये सही time है? Is it right? Shall I start now? Shall we come a little later? So these are few things we'll try to explore and to know more about Gift City and House. Over to Mr. Paras Jain.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Ami, for having me here. And sorry for the confusion. The name is appearing something else.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give you a very brief history of the gift FSC, and later we will move to the fund regime that is currently at gift FSC. So the gift city, the idea was conceptualized way back in 2007 by the then Chief Minister of Gujarat. So, but after that, in 2015, the FSC came into picture, India's first interdigital financial service center. So at that time, so any entity who has to take registration, who wants to operate from GIFT FSC, it has to take registrations from various regulators across India like SEBI and RBI. So after this, there was a lot of difficulties for the entities. So the idea of unified regulator was came after this. So in 2020, we have our IFSC set up in the GIFT IFSC. It is a unified regulator that provide license to operate in GIFT IFSC for every activity, be it banking, funds, finance companies, insurance, etc. And since then, we have come a long way. And as we speak now, we have more than 750 entities registered with the IFSC and are operating in GIFT City. So I'm gonna share my screen for a presentation. So briefly, we will be covering like why should one choose GIFT IFSC, and later we will move to the fund regime in GIFT IFSC. So if you see, so we have a single registration and unified regulatory framework for all the entities that want to be registered. There's a single registration desk. Now we have a Sweet portal live. So any entity who wants to be set up a shop in Gift City, in Gift FSC, they can directly apply from the Sweet portal. And we have a unified regulatory framework which is adopted from the best practices across the world. Second, we have our diversification and leverage flexibility. So on the in the IFSC, we have the funds are allowed to have a leverage. The only thing is that they have to disclose in the PPM. There is no cap on the limits for the funds. And third is co-investment is allowed in the fund structure and through SPV. The funds can do the co-investment, and the SPV structure we are currently working on, and soon it will come out. We have a very simplified registration process for the funds. The thing is, we have now a green channel for the non-retail schemes also, for the restricted scheme also. So the thing is, you can just file the PPM with there, and it's a green channel. You are automatically can launch your fund. And for our funds, we have a very transparent regime. We trust you. That the principle that we had. So all the things are only disclosure based. There's a set of the PPM you can disclose. There are circular where you can see in that circular that came on April 5. There are few disclosures that needs to be made in restricted schemes, and there is some checklist. So once you made the disclosures, you can file with us, and once you get the letter, you can immediately launch your fund. We do not insist on PAN for foreign investors. So apart from ease of doing business for the entities here, we also keep in mind that the investors' protection should be there. So we believe in transparency. So everything should be disclosed in whatever document you are sharing with the investors. And we Gift FSC is located in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. So as you know, the today's story is the India's story. We are one of the biggest countries in the world in terms of GDP also. So the investment from here, we are very nearby to the place of investment. So all the funds and all the units that are setting up in Gift FSC, and India needs the capital to grow. So if you are setting up a shop in IFSC, you are very close to the uh, prominent place like India. And comparable to the other jurisdictions, if you say comparable like Singapore or Dubai, and in respect of that, we have a very comparable operational cost that you have to incur while operating in Gift IFSC. And in addition to that, we also the units also have the tax benefits there. Out of the 15 years, the tax is exempted for tax year for 10 years continuously. And along with that, on the domestic side, there is a the ecosystem of fund is very great. So the talent pool is very much available here also, and we continuously strive for the ease of doing business. We continuously strive that how the entities should can operate more freely and a more comforting environment here. So we always doing things that ease that ease the operations for them. Moving towards there's an overview of what the fund regime has achieved here. So as of now, we have more than 135 entities, fund management entities registered with us, and I would say, and we have three categories that we'll cover later. We have more than, I would say, 85% entities are in the registered FME non-retail category. And we have, along with that, we have also more than 185 plus funds here. More than 50% of the funds are the CAT 3 funds, then CAT 2, and then CAT 1. We have a commitment based on the PPMs that we had that they are going to raise 46 billion plus dollars, and almost more than 10 billion has already been deployed out of that. We also have a FMEs that are providing PMS services, and more than 17 entities are giving the PMS services. Not only that, we have India focused fund. We also have funds which are foreign controlled, like Morgan Stanley, Investcorp, Baring Capital, LGT, and we have also the renowned fund houses from India, also like Kedara Capital, Kotak Alternate, Multiples, True North, SBI, Bloom Ventures. And we have also the PE private equity funds investors who have investors like RDR and GIC. So and the for the to support the fund ecosystem, there are other services that are also there, the custodian or trusteeship services or law firms. So they all are present here in Gift FSC. Moving towards the fund management regime that we have in IFSC, we have licenses in three categories that are authorized FME, registered FME, non-retail, and registered FME retail. Then we have funds, the type of schemes or funds that can be set up here are venture capital schemes, vested schemes, and also called non-retail schemes, and there are retail schemes. So recently we are having a lot of traction in retail schemes also. For before that, we have more of restricted schemes. As I said, more than 85% are restricted schemes only. Other fund management activities that are allowed here are portfolio management, investment trust, and family investment funds, and other areas also like special situation funds and exchange traded and ESG funds. I would use this opportunity to bring one news to the viewers. Like for the first 10 ESG funds, the registration fees is waived off for the first 10 funds, and we already have one fund registered here, being in a ESG category. So for the FME, we have a risk-based approach. We use a risk-based approach for the FMEs. As you can see, like the we are here have authorized FME, registered non-retail, registered retail. So the thing is, when you have a higher pedestal, you can do all the activities that can be done by the activities below things. For example, the registered retail FME can do all the activities which registered non-retail and authorized FME can do. But with that, the compliance also increases. So if you are an authorized FME, the compliance will be less compared to the registered FME retail. So here are some eligibility criteria for if you want to be registered as a registered FME or a non-retail or retail or authorized. So we have a network criteria. So if you are authorized FME, you have to have a 75,000 USD dollars. They are minimum net worth requirements. For registered FME non-retail, we have 5 lakh dollars, and for registered FME retail, it is $1 million. So when you are setting up a FME, it can be in any form like company, LLP or branch. Only the registered FME can be in company or branch. It can't be a LLP. And for the registered FME, if it is a company, it must have at least 4 directors, and 50% of them should be independent directors. And for the experience criteria, we also have the for the registered FME. If they are so we have some, must have some background. So based on that, the criteria is like you have minimum should have 5 years of experience, and you should be managing at least 200 million and having investor base of more than 25,000. Or if these conditions are fulfilled, then other condition is you one person should be in control of more than 25% holding of the FME and should have at least 5 years of experience. So if someone is coming in the form of a branch for a registered FME, there's one condition also like your parent entity should be regulated by a financial sector regulator, be in India or in some foreign jurisdiction. Now, there is also a substance requirement. So when you're setting up a FME is there must be some person who will be managing all the affairs of the FME. So it is the same on the risk-based that we have. So the personal requirement increases as you move up to the high of the ladder. For authorized FME, there is only one person required, that is called a PO, and there are certain conditions that he has to fulfill based on the experience and the professional qualifications. For the registered FM, you must have two person. One is called, we call them KMPs. So one is principal officer and one is compliance officer with the same qualifications. And for registered FME non-retail, there are three-person that is required. One is PO, CO, and fund manager. And these personal requirements are mandatory, but the based on the size of the FME or based on the size of the operations that you have, you must have the commensurate manpower to your operation. Now, we can move to the scheme. We have three types of scheme basically here. There are venture capital schemes. Schemes are basically the funds, we can say, that are launched by the fund management entities that are in IFSC. So we have venture capital schemes, restricted schemes, and retail non-restricted schemes. So venture capital scheme is something which can be launched by any SME, be it registered non-retail or registered retail. So registered schemes can launch the authorized by can be launched by authorized and registered and retail schemes can be launched only by the registered FMEs that in retail category. So now we have some a threshold that who can invest in these schemes. So for the venture capital scheme, we have accredited investors can invest. There is no threshold or amount, but there is some retail, some individual investor or institutional investor. It should be the minimum ticket size should be 2,50,000 dollars. For restricted scheme, there is accredited investors or the minimum ticket size is $150,000. For retail, we have no restrictions if it is the scheme is open-ended. But if it is close-ended, then minimum ticket size is $10,000 if the 15% of the amount is invested in unlisted securities. If it is less than 15, then there is no restriction on a minimum ticket size. So launch of the scheme, as I said recently in this year, April, we have launched, we have a circular is published whereby the restricted schemes can also be undertaken through the green channel. So once you file the documents according to the based on the disclosures and the completion of all the documents here, you can immediately launch the funds. For retail scheme, this has to be approved by FSCA for now. Then we have some threshold for how many number of investors can be there in each scheme. For number for venture, we have less than 50. For established scheme, it should be between 2 and 1,000. For retail, the lower is 20. There is no limit for the upper end. So, and the type of scheme we have for the venture, we have only closed-ended schemes. For other, we have both closed and open-ended. So, and the schemes here in GIFT FSC is registered as a separate unit. You have to apply separately for the SEs, and then you have to incorporate it in the form of company, LLP, or trust. And there are some single investor limits. In the restricted scheme, there is 50%, and one single investor who is investing in the scheme should be less than 50% in a restricted scheme, and for retail, it is 25%. There is a minimum scheme size for each of the scheme, and it is 5 million for each of the schemes. Only the venture capital scheme has a maximum limit of 200 million that can be launched. For other, there is no limit. As I said earlier, the leverage is very much permissible in the gift IFSC for venture capital and restricted schemes. For retail schemes, they can also borrow, but only for the temporary liquidity requirements. And the investment diversification norms we have, it's simply based on the disclosure. Wherever you are investing, you should disclose it in the PPM. For retail, we have some threshold that is public money. So in a single company, you can invest only a 10% up to the total AUM. And for other sectors, for sectoral cap, we have 25%. And if it is a financial sector, then the cap is 50%. So we have other facilities that is PMS, Family Office, Fund Lab, SPV, ESG, ETS, and Stress Asset. So all the FMEs who are registered here can do these activities also. For portfolio management, we have a minimum ticket size of $1,50,000, and for as of now, more than 17 FMEs are doing the PMS activity here. Family Office, we are in the Family Office. We are still working on that. And for the SPVs, we are on working on, and soon it will be releasing something regarding to the SPV. For ESG funds, we have a circular we have launched by the FSC who like what constitutes a ESG scheme, what's the disclosures needs to be made. And for the first 10 ESG fund, the fees is waived off. And there are ATS and status. So this is the basic framework for a fund and FME in a gift IFSC. If you can see that this is an IFSC fund, this is basically a scheme, and this is the FME that is registered with IFSC. This FME can launch a fund. Then there are can be two types of investors that can invest in this fund. One are foreign investors, which are persons who are resident outside India and non-resident Indian. And then there are Indian investors also who can invest in this one. Obviously, they will be subjected to some FEMA provisions uh, of the RBI, and these investors can be person and individual person or institutional investor. They can be launching can be investing in a IFSC fund. Then this fund can investment in these following things. So in IFSC, we have exchanges, and there are securities listed on the exchanges. They can invest there, or they can be invest in the securities that are issued by the companies that are incorporated in IFSC. Then there are other, the scheme can also invest in units of other AIFs. They can be based in IFSC or they can be based outside IFSC. And they can also invest in security as issued by the companies incorporated in India or incorporated in foreign jurisdiction. And there is a whole list in our regulation where which what are the permissible securities there. So, and this is our last slide where how the process goes when you are setting up a fund or setting up an FME in there. So the process is typically the same for both. So once you have to identify the office space for the FME being in the IFSC, then you have to apply for the registration has to be not you setting up a LLP or a company. So now we for the FME we have a Switch portal, and it is a one-stop portal where you can apply for both SEZ and the FME. So both the process goes simultaneously, and we also have enabled the if you need an NOC from the SEBI, the same portal you can apply for NOC from the SEBI. For the fund, we have the you can have the same space as of FME for the fund. For fund, we are still developing a Suite portal. We are still trying to enable the fund in the Suite portal. But for now, we have it's the usual process that you have to mail the documents to us, and we'll be taking it up further. So this is from my side, and thank you, Samir.
So thank you, Paras. I'm sure you have given a very broad view about Gift City. You mentioned that 135 FMEs are already there, and one can imagine when 135 investment managers are there, to how much activity would take place. 185, more than 185 funds are there, which has been registered. And the mind-boggling is $46 billion commitment. I'm assuming that it is the corpus of whatever total they have in PPM they have asked, they have mentioned. So it's a huge amount which is taking place, a huge business is taking place in Gift City, and I'm really hopeful that things are going in very positive direction. So friends, there are questions, Paras, but we'll take it after we hear Mihir, and then we have a panel discussion. During that, we'll try to take all the questions which are there, which we have received earlier, and which people are asking now in this thing. So thank you, Paras. So friends, I think you can unshare Paras if you want from your yeah. So friends, I think the Paras has very well covered all the aspects of Gift City, how you can set up the fund over there. So there, because my most of the things are covered by Mr. Paras Jain. So I would just like to add, before I call Mihir, I would like to add few things from the operational aspects where. So I'm telling you from the point of view when people approach us and for you set up the fund or they have different queries on that. So first of all, there you would have seen in the presentation that there is a requirement of net worth for an investment manager. So what is the process if you want to set up a fund? You go to the Gift City, अपना FME बनाइए fund. First of all, you should have an FME, investment manager, जिसको आप SEBI के terms में बोलते हैं investment manager. So first you should have an FME, and that FME will keep on launching the funds which it is entitled to. First thing is make an FME and then go the process that has been told earlier. So now there is a net worth. So many people would come that we don't have $75,000 or whatever the net worth limitations were provided. So there is a provision of upgrading of net worth, and you can increase the upgrade your FME also. Suppose if you want to do a Cat 2, Cat 3, so if you are registered with authorized FME, then you can upgrade it also. So with these things, there are various other operational aspects we'll discuss more. So to proceed further, I will invite now Mr. Mihir Shirgaonkar to let us know how things are happening and what is happening, because definitely the people would like to know from your end what is all Phillip Capital. I think would also like to know what is all about Phillip Capital, what you are doing, what kind of funds you have, and you can highlight the problems, what is do's and don'ts for the entrants. Over to Mihir, please.
Thank you so much, Rastogi sir. And I think thank you so much for having me. It is indeed a great opportunity. Normally in webinars like these, I cover more on the markets, global markets, what is happening, what are the opportunities, and how different markets are looking like. But this is a very, very unique forum where we are actually able to share our experience also, and how our entire journey has been. So thank you so much once again, for having us. Just one second. I'm trying to navigate. Yeah. So I thought, I'll divide this discussion essentially into three parts because we are operating in both the outbound as well as the inbound space. So first is, the outbound opportunity that, what are the different avenues available and how the Gift City regulatory framework and the FME regime is actually helping us facilitate those kind of investments. The inbound opportunity, of course, a larger piece because Gift City largely has been envisaged as a gateway where a lot of global investors will seamlessly access Indian markets. So how that is coming along and what has been our experience on that front. And when I say experience, I would also love to communicate the kind of feedback that I have been receiving from, let's say, prospects across the globe. I'll definitely share some inputs on those as well because I've been interacting with people from different nationalities and everyone seems to know Gift City. So that is, I think, very, very positive. And of course, some very select statistics of the fund management ecosystem, of course. Paras sir did cover it in the previous one, so my inputs could be limited, but still, more from an experience point of view. So very quickly about Phillip Capital, and I promise I'll not spend a lot of time on this one. But Phillip Capital as a group is headquartered in Singapore. And as a group, we will be completing 50 years next year in 2025. And currently, we are operating in the financial hubs of more than 15 countries and servicing more than 1.3 million clients globally across different aspects of the financial markets. In India, we have been around for 25 years. In fact, 29th December 2024 is where we will exactly complete 25 years in the country. And we have largely been an institutional service provider. And hence, we've had the opportunity to consistently service institutions and family offices and across different product lines. So we also have corporate finance, investment banking, portfolio management, and other divisions as well. But now enter Phillip Ventures IFSC, which is our Gift City presence. So we were actually one of the earliest entrants into Gift City. We took our office space about 5, 6 years back. So in 2017, 2018 is where we actually acquired our office space. And our vision for Gift City was very, very clear because, we were very keenly observing, the kind of, ideas and the business opportunities are coming along. And to that extent, we always believed that our Gift City presence is a very, very natural extension of our India presence. And our entire journey, began with as a portfolio manager. So, of course, we did take the broker dealer license first. But in terms of the operations, in terms of the product, the first operational product was the global PMS that we launched in 2021. And later on, the fund management entity regime came into picture in 2022. So currently, we are a fund management entity, a non-retail, and we are offering a global PMS as well as we are now starting our own set of inbound AIFs as well. We are also a registered investment advisor, and under this license, we are advising investors on global portfolios, global investment recommendations. And thirdly, we are a broker dealer. So again, our broker dealer, and this is where I say that we are a very natural extension to our India presence. So not only are we providing access to the Gift City exchanges, but our license has also the global access enabled because there is a very specific framework of the IFSCA, which permits broker dealers also to provide access to global markets. So even that is something that we have been now consistently, let's say, offering for the past 1.5 to 2 years. So first, the first point which I would like to make is the outbound opportunity. This is, I think, where I say that, what are the kind of investment avenues available. So first is, globally, we are seeing a lot of different businesses emerge, and that too in the listed space. So a lot of business which are dominated by technology. A lot of developed markets are offering a lot of innovative ideas which we believe will drive the next leg of global growth. But these are also ideas which may or may not be available for investments if you are looking at only the listed Indian equity space. So global markets are providing those opportunities. The kind of macroeconomic environment that we function in right now, So that really provides opportunities outside of traditional equities. So, globally fixed income, equities, commodities. So, all these opportunities are available. But more importantly, and this is also, what makes Gift City a very attractive investment destination for resident Indians is that now Indian investors have an opportunity. They have their own, let's say offshore jurisdiction in the form of Gift City to actually start building USD portfolio, because many investors have increasingly recognized, the impact of a rupee depreciation over a longer period of time. Many investors, many families, they really have very, very specific investment objectives for which they want to really accumulate dollar-based assets over a longer period of time. And like prior to Gift City, we had a lot of offshore investment structures in other jurisdictions globally. But now, thanks to Gift City, India has its own offshore jurisdiction to facilitate those kind of investments. Just to touch some bit upon the regulatory aspects here. So, I'm simply quoting from the IFSCA Fund Management Regulations 2022. So the permissible investments, which was covered in the previous PPT as well, includes, they include securities which are listed on exchanges in IFSC India as well as foreign jurisdictions. And the entire FME regime not only provides for creation of outbound alternative investment funds, but even outbound global portfolios. So we started with the global PMS route. And more importantly, the regulations are very clear that not only resident Indians and entities can invest, subject to the RBI OPI framework, but even a person resident outside India can invest. Now, this is again a very, very unique opportunity because let's say in our own global PMS, as a global PMS, when we are investing into markets outside India, we are currently servicing families in Africa, London, Dubai, okay, Qatar, a few clients in Singapore as well. So one might really wonder that if investors are already sitting abroad, when they have their own avenues to invest globally, why would they come to Gift City in turn to invest into the global markets? Because normally, when we look at Gift City, it is envisaged as either resident Indians investing outside or non-resident Indians investing into, or let's say foreign nationals investing into India. But now we've quite literally, we can envisage a U-shaped flow where investors are outside, they are coming to Gift City, and they are in turn investing outside. So one might really wonder, because this is a question which many of our prospective clients ask, that why would investors do that? So our response is very clear that number one, they are doing it. And it really speaks about two things. One is the kind of credibility which all the asset managers in Gift City enjoy. So Phillip Capital and all the prominent names. So all these asset managers really are asset managers with a very high degree of credibility. There is definitely a lot of comfort when investors work with such names. But more importantly, it also speaks about the kind of confidence which people have on Gift City as a jurisdiction now. And this is very important because as I said, I've been doing meetings around Dubai. I've been doing, let's say a lot of calls with other global clients as well. And everyone is excited about Gift City. Everyone has at least, heard of Gift City. And I'll, share some of those experiences also later. So, that is exactly what, in true sense, Gift City becomes a jurisdiction which is, servicing different investors. It becomes a multi-market, multi-region, multi-asset focus kind of a jurisdiction where different asset classes can be accessed, different regions can be accessed because of the way the IFSCA regulations are providing it. And more importantly, different investors across the globe can access this jurisdiction to access multiple markets. So I think it really broadens the entire horizon of Gift City as a jurisdiction. Uh, for resident Indians, okay, both individuals as well as entities. So the RBI, the OPI, the Overseas Investments Framework of the Reserve Bank of India is again very, very clear. For resident Indians, it is permitted under the liberalized remittance scheme. Many investors at times get confused. They will always ask कि अरे gift city तो India में ही है, then why should we undergo LRS? So, but this is again, a question which I think most of us would be having, as service providers, as wealth managers, and as investment managers. So, because Gift City, for all exchange control purposes, is considered to be a foreign jurisdiction, any money remitted to Gift City is considered to be money remitted outside India, and that is the reason why the liberalized remittance scheme limits supply for individuals. And for resident entities, avenues have now opened up, so they can remit up to 50% of their net worth, and they can invest into funds or investment vehicles which are set up in an IFSC. So there is considerable clarity, in terms of outbound investing as well. The other part is that because it is already a completely distinct jurisdiction, it is not really subject to industry-wide caps, which let's say the overseas feeder funds in the mutual fund space here, get subject to. So at no point in time, any FME will come and tell the investors that, what, we cannot accept any subscriptions for the want of any industry limit. Yes, if the strategy has reached a certain value, then that's a different thing. But otherwise, there is considerable freedom to explore. Okay, that's number one. Next is, okay, the inbound opportunity. And this is where, I think more from experience, again, we'd like to share. So first is the kind of AIF structures in Gift City. So very, very similar to, or a very, very similar framework to SEBI, but a very clear distinction to be drawn. Essentially, I think there is some a point here, but so currently we have a lot of AIF structures in Gift City, and they are essentially facilitating a very, very seamless. So please apologies for the printing mistake in the first point. There is some typo error, so my apologies. But a lot of let's say AIF structures are here. But I would specifically focus on the second point, which is the operational feasibility for foreign investors. So first is there is no PAN card requirement, and even there is no bank account requirement. So this is, one of the areas where Gift City as a jurisdiction completely sets apart. Because one of the, let's say, reservations of a lot of foreign investors when otherwise investing into the Indian markets, in the absence of Gift City, would have been that there have been a lot of procedural requirements. Okay, we have to maintain, let's say, NRO, NRE accounts over here. We have to take FPI licenses, etc., etc. So all those things, typically come into picture. But here, what happens is that when you have a Gift City domiciled fund, now that fund has the complete responsibility of an FPI registration, and I'm talking about an inbound fund. So all the SEBI registrations, the onshore bank accounts, the FPI registrations. So the entire burden of compliance is typically owned by the fund. And for the investors abroad, it is only an offshore fund which is the point of contact. I mean, it really boils down to very basic things like an investor in the UK wants to interact with a banker in India for remitting funds, for example. If let's say that a UK investor wants to invest in India. So only because of a time zone differential, there are a lot of challenges. But here everything gets eliminated because Gift City is a completely dollar denominated jurisdiction. Simply what happens is that investors, and this is something that we are sharing from experience, investors simply do a dollar to dollar fund transfer into the respective, let's say, collection accounts of Gift City. Now, the banking ecosystem has also considerably evolved, and investors have like increasingly they are getting the option of opening even bank accounts over here. But point is that there is no specific requirement. So automatically, while a lot of other measures like the AML and CFT checks and the KYC become very, very critical. But in terms of operationally going about investing in the fund, it is considerably lighter. And that is exactly what is really providing that kind of convenience to a lot of investors. And this, we believe is a complete game changer because this is something which we've really been receiving very good feedback that the documentation is not a challenge anymore. Of course, the fund structures in Gift City are taxable. But again, the good part is that, especially for something like a Cat 3 AIF, it gets taxed at the fund level. So investors don't have to even bother with any, tax compliances of India. They will receive returns on a post-tax basis, but that's a different thing. Again, there are certain structures where, the income can be exempt. But the point is that investors don't have to bother with any of the tax reporting or tax filing. So, that is something which is, again, very, very easy for investors. That really gives investors a lot of comfort. So, I come to the last part of my very short presentation. So, a quick overview of the fund management ecosystem. But what I also want to cover is the other elements which are really supporting this ecosystem. So, of course, as was discussed, that there are now more than 125 FMEs. I think 130, more than 130 to be precise. More than 160 funds have already been set up. Of the total upcoming commitments, more than 12 billion have already been raised. Now, what is really supporting this entire ecosystem is a very good, very good ecosystem of banks, because all major banks have their own IBUs, or the IFSC banking units. Currently, close to $71 billion of banking assets, as per the latest IFSC bulletin. Close to 950, 975 billions of transactions have already been, happened. So that is really ensuring that, the transactions, the fund transfers, okay, it has been very, very seamlessly established. Even on the IFSC exchanges. So of course, with every passing, let's say year, the IFSC exchanges will also witness new listings. But even the IFSC exchange mechanism, it is very, very robust. But what is also the backbone of the ecosystem is service providers. So trusteeship services, auditing services, legal and compliance services. If we really go back to our own experience, when we started off in, let's say, 2021, because we started the global PMS in Jan 2022, but for about a year, we were really laying the groundwork, that too at a time when the COVID pandemic was at its peak. But what really made this entire journey very, very seamless was, first, I think, the constant support and handholding of the IFSC as a regulator. I think we are forever grateful to the regulator for really facilitating this, really helping out entities, in their initial stages. And more importantly, as the regulatory frameworks were also evolving, I think, many legal consultants we had consulted, and I think the kind of clarity that we were really receiving. So that really makes this ecosystem very, very comprehensive. We always believe that it is not just about, let's say, a fund being set up and money being managed, but a lot of ancillary service providers. They really ensure that the overall experience, not only for the fund management entity, but even for the investors, is very, very seamless, very, very comfortable. And I think as a whole, all these parts in a larger ecosystem really make Gift City what it is today and what it is really envisaged to be. So thank you so much, for having me. This photo is still about a couple of years back. We've just taken it from our office. This is exactly how the Gift City ecosystem used to look like, but now it is much more evolved. And once again, thank you so much. And yeah, over to you, Samir, sir.
Right. So thank you, Mayor. It was, I think the audience would have got the taste, what all can be done. You are done from Gift City. You are doing so many things, so many funds, so many activities
Right.
you are doing. So I think
So,
that was the objective, to give the flavor to the participants, the what all things
correct.
can be
So
done.
just one thing, actually, in that inbound slide, there was some typo error. So we are actually now coming up even with a couple of AIFs,
Yeah.
India focused. So
Okay.
this way, we are operating on both the spectrums. And yeah,
Great.
operationally, very, very seamless so far. And yeah,
Great.
over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can unshare the screen so we can,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So I think participants, you would have noted from Mir's presentation that to what extent and to what level of activities and business activities are going on, and what kind of opportunities are there in Gift City. So going forward, so we have a lot of questions which people have posted here in chat. So we'll take one by one. And there are certain other questions which we have with us. So I'll try to, within the time limit, I'll try to take all those questions. So first of all, I'll take the questions which are there, which are asked. So I think it is to, I'll take it with Paras. So one of the question is, if any Indian mutual fund wishes to have a business in Gift City, so can they keep trustee sponsor same as they kept for Indian company?
Sorry, come again, please.
So if somebody if any Indian mutual fund wishes to have a business in Gift City, so can they have the same trustee and sponsors as they have in India, in domestic area?
So what the guidelines suggest that the trusteeship that can be any trustee, it can be in India, it can be in gift, or can be in a foreign jurisdiction. The only thing is it must be regulated by a regulator, and it should not have a associate with the company itself. Should not be associate of the company. So
No.
these are the only few conditions. Apart from that, things are permissible.
Yeah. So mainly the regulation provide for registration of an investment manager entity that has to be
Yes.
compulsorily registered and located and housed in Gift City. That is the main requirement. As far as your sponsor and trustees are concerned, you can have the same whatever there, but since if they are already with a mutual fund, so I would presume they already qualify as a regulated one. So there would not be any problem. But your investment manager has to be there in Gift City. So I'll move on to the next. Why much less retail FME? Why we can see only AIF in IFSC directory? So somebody is asking, people are, as you know, not many people are referring to the website of the IFSCA. They want to know who people who have come and who is coming. So one of the gentlemen is asking why only AIF? So how they can see the retail schemes?
So, as I have said in the presentation, so recently we have seen a lot of traction for the retail schemes also. There are so many investment managers based in India who are already operating in a retail space. They are now seeking to operate as a get a license for a retail FME here. And there are few instances also who have taken the non-retail license. They are upgrading their license to the retail one. So I think the main concern about like why is not so far it is retail. I think there are taxation issues are there that are not so clear for the taxation purposes. That's why. But since that SEBI circular, which have allowed 100% NRI contribution in a fund, setting up a setup in IFSC can invest in India. After that, we are seeing a lot of traction, and in the coming months, you will see a lot of retail funds from the gift city.
So I think there are a lot of questions for Paris. So because that's how people want to know from where,
Yeah,
because
it is
the
fine.
audience, they are consultants, they are law firms, they are advisors. So they receive a lot of queries from all over their clients. So everybody want answer. So that's why so
Well,
different
we are
questions
very
are
much
coming.
available on our calls also. We are like answering such type of questions.
So
Okay.
how IFSCA is working to provide equivalent jurisdiction over the various territories like Lux, Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, Germany, and other. So what you are doing to keep the parity with this or keep equivalent with this jurisdiction?
These jurisdictions are already as a well-established system. We come into picture, I will say, only around 4 years ago. And if you see, we have already 750 plus entities here. And then the funds I have currently we have it's 135 plus, but right now it is 141 if I'm correct, and several are in the process. So I am seeing the leaps and bounds that is gonna take. So we will surely move past the jurisdictions. Uh, uh, I will say mm, in a suitable period. And what we are doing is we engage with all stakeholders we engage with these decisions also. We have a road shows all around the world. Our delegations goes all around to spread awareness about the IFSC, and we are seeing a lot of interest in the gift city.
Okay. So I think in my style, I will tell the people भाई तुम्हारा 10 साल का टैक्स छोड़ दिया है ना, ऑपरेशनल कॉस्ट इतना ज्यादा कम है, और कैसे यहाँ पे वी आर ऑलरेडी competing with these guys बाहर
And
की आप किसी
yes,
if you set up a fund in foreign jurisdiction and operate over there, the cost over there would be very much. So I would
and
just
yeah,
share one of the thing. One of our client from he was setting up a 100 million pound fund in Jersey. So their operational cost over 5 year was more than 20 crores. So I told them, if you come here, the investment manager itself will save huge amount. But this I am telling about 2 years back. Those investors at that point of time were not comfortable with India and Gift City. They were not knowing, it was new concept at that point of time. Though the investor decided to have a fund in Jersey, but that point of time. But the investment managers were fully convinced to come to Gift City because he was saving around 20 crores on the fund operation. So that's what I was just mentioning on this point, that what is the regulator is doing, भाई सब कुछ बहुत कम है यहाँ पर.
in
You
fact,
can really
I
take it.
also want to add one point. I think
Yeah.
the biggest, for an investment manager and a fund manager is the kind of investment avenues that become unlocked because of the very distinct regulatory framework. So we keep on telling our investors that, while SEBI, very, very robust mechanism, but the IFSCA operates completely distinct from, let's say SEBI and other onshore regulators. And if we really look at the kind of investment avenues are available, especially when different markets become open, so that itself opens up the scope for really exploring different avenues for investments, and then we are in a much better position to provide a comprehensive range of services to our clients. So I think that is I think one very tiny input from my side, but yeah.
So Meher, one question over to you, because you have set up, you are one of the earliest entrant here and you
Yeah.
have seen all the journey. So what is your thought or your word to the people who are trying to enter Gift City, जो लगाना चाह रहे हैं, जो who are just sitting on the fence basically, sitting
Correct.
on the fence and thinking, should I enter, should I? So
Right.
what do you see, at the moment you do see any challenges that new entrants are feeling, may it be operational or any other thing, or what do you have on that aspect?
Sure. So, I mean, I can definitely again, I think there are some challenges which are now X challenges because
Yeah.
most of them have really been addressed.
So definitely
Uh,
we would like to know
but
what you have
yeah,
faced
yes,
so
yes,
that
but what
people
I have
know the
faced.
journey कि वो था अब
Correct,
नहीं
correct,
है.
right. So I remember, in the early part of 2022, when I was placing my first set of trades in the global markets, because that is when we had started the global PMS. So because we were operating USRs and that daylight saving के वजह से the US markets used to open at 8 p.m. in the evening. So we did our trades, we and all the trades and all happened. So my dealer and everyone, so the dealing team, we were at 9:30, 10 p.m. in Gift City, and we really did not have we found a lot of difficulty finding transport. Again, that is not on
Yeah.
IFSCA, but that is public transport can become a bit of a challenge still, especially in the
Uh,
later hours in the evening. So, I mean, anyone setting up shop over there, so it would help if you have your own vehicle.
I will pitch in. The
S-
metro has been set up here. So
Yeah,
metro is
yeah, yeah.
operational now, and we
Yes,
have a
yes. Ha, ha,
lot of buses
exactly.
in
So,
the
like I
Indian
said,
hyper
so
cities and
from
then you got our
metro
this.
to Gift City, I think that buses are also running, flying.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. So it is
So,
a end-to-end connectivity has been is
so
there.
yeah. So, like I said, so that is an X challenge now. Second X challenge I think has now been addressed by the SWITS portal, because initially for registrations, separate registration for IFSCA, separate for SEZ. So those kind of I think duplication and again the timelines mismatch used to be a challenge. But thankfully that has been again largely mitigated. So again, the processes are very, very streamlined, and the entire process is very comfortable. A third operational challenge, I think, I don't know whether it is a challenge or what, but ऑफिस स्पेस अभी थोड़ा बहुत मुश्किल है मिलना. आई थिंक मेनी न्यू पीपल हैव बीन टेलिंग अस.
इसका मतलब सब लोग जल्दी आ जाओ, जिसको आना है जल्दी आ जाओ।
हाँ, because I think Paras
We
sir can only reconfirm this, but I think many people, at least the new entrants, are registering their offices even in co-working spaces. Am I right in my understanding?
Yeah.
the
So,
challenge was there, but now the
हाँ,
new
but
buildings have came up.
new
So it was
buildings
a
are
period of
coming
short
up,
time
of
when there was
course.
saturation. But now
Yeah.
there are new buildings are opening up,
That
so
they are.
there's a
In
lot of
fact,
space and a lot of growth.
yeah, in fact, I'll say this that again, because we started in 2022. So lunch breaks ke liye we used to like below Hiranandani signature building. So that's one of the buildings there. So it used to be like it used to feel as if you have the entire space to yourself. But with every passing month, we've only seen more and more number of people, which means, as Paras also mentioned, that the problem of talent pool is also largely mitigated. So, and because Gift City sits at a very, very strategic location, connectivity to Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar is again, I think, very quick. From the airport itself, nobody really believes, but from the airport, Gift City is just 25 minutes by road on a normal day. Even though it may look far, but I think the infrastructure is really good. Uh, so those were, more of the challenges, more at a physical level. जैसे public transport
Hmm.
नहीं था, but now, all that is there. And like I said, of course, office space used to be a challenge, but again, that is slowly and steadily new options are opening up. The other challenge, which I think again, which used to be a challenge, was what we really call a network effect. So like people will come in or people will enter the jurisdiction only if all others are entering. So if everyone is thinking like this, where do we start?
Yeah.
So it really took quite a lot of firms to actually show that kind of conviction. And they've really shown it because now every prominent player has their own setup in Gift City. So now, if anyone wants to explore, that not only let's say the fund managers, but even a lot of ancillary service providers
Hmm.
are around.
Hmm.
सबके offices है.
Hmm.
So, any difficulty or any challenge, let's say on the fund setting up, the FME setting up, any other compliance or, any other requirements. So you know that you have sufficient service providers around who can actually help you, guide you, and can really enable you to ensure the entire journey is very smooth. So, ऐसे, I mean, yeah, these are some of the challenges, or should I say, some past challenges. But I thought it's a great forum to at least share these experiences.
So पहले एक और था कि here there are two regulators. One is SEZ and one is IFSC.
Correct,
So
correct.
when
Yes,
we were
yes.
registering, we had to run to SEZ
Yes,
separately
yes,
and
yes,
IFSC
yes.
separately. Now, I think
It's
as far as
the
mentioned, it's one portal. So
yeah,
that problem has also been solved. अब लोगों को जगह जगह नहीं भागना, एक ही जगह सारा काम हो
बिल्कुल,
जाएगा.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल,
So that is
absolutely.
another new development which has taken place. So
Yeah,
one more question to you, Meher.
yeah,
If like in India, there is a huge community in India who are, they have set of investors, they would set up a fund and then they will raise the fund. India में ऐसा
correct,
बहुत है क्या ना, there are professional managers, they will set up the fund and then they get it. So
correct,
do you
correct.
think Gift City में मैंने अगर suppose, this is a very normal question that people ask, if I set up a fund in Gift City,
Right.
whether gives me an edge to raise funds internationally or SEBI or या domestic or any other, so Gift City में मुझे कोई edge मिलता है fund raise करने के लिए? Do I have an edge to in raising the
So,
funds?
yeah, so here I can tell you that, so I'll just give, let's say, a comparison. So in 2022, I had been to Dubai for a few set of meetings. And again, early part of this year, exactly 2 years later, again, I was in Dubai for a few set of meetings. But the kind of conversations that I had, between the different, with let's say prospect clients was considerably, there was a very drastic shift. So back in 2022, we used to really begin with, what is Gift City, what is the vision, and what are the operational frameworks, etc., etc. Now, when you introduce yourself, especially in a region like Dubai, where the NRI community is very strong, when you really introduce yourself as, someone operating in Gift City, they are really excited and they definitely want to know more. They are aware and then they are like, they are exploring opportunities. So definitely, the brand recall of Gift City has considerably improved over the past couple of years. But I would still say that there is, some more ground to cover there. Uh, but like I said, it is really a question of network effects. I
Okay.
think with so many FMEs, so many funds, and more importantly, so many capital commitments. So I think once those kind of numbers become, I think when the word goes out, that is where fundraising will be. Gift City as an edge will truly enjoy. Currently, it is, I think a combination of, as I said, the confidence which people have on asset managers, as well as the credibility of Gift City as, as India's own offshore jurisdiction with a separate regulator. So definitely there is comfort. But I think, maybe if you were to ask me this question about a couple of years later,
Mm.
the answer would be a big yes.
Yeah.
Right now, I'll not say that it is no. It is just it's a work in progress at the moment.
Right.
That's all I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Paras, there is a question to you. This little bit of regulatory kind of question. So, once somebody has set up a FME, they have registered. Then, if there is a change in the shareholding of the FME, so do they need your permission or how it is?
Any change in the FME of for that matter should be in knowledge of the authority.
Okay. 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 Like SEBI has provided, all would know that when you are forming a fund, the main document is your PPM. And like SEBI in domestic has already provided a draft or the format of the PPM that how you should, it is in the regulations now. So do you also have some plan or some propose that you would provide a draft or the format of the PPM for the ease of the people who are coming in so that it's easy for them to just take the format and run?
For now, we have not any such restrictions, and any changes that we made, it is only for the betterment. And for the draft PPM, we have not seen so much demand from the industry.
Okay.
So the current system is working very well for now. But if we see in future that, then we can look at it. But for now, it is working fine.
So maybe the IFSC is regulating FME and not the fund. Maybe that may be the more to leave the fund free to design its PPM, maybe.
Uh, I would say we are regulating both. Unlike SEBI, which regulate only funds,
Yeah.
we regulate both FME and the funds.
Okay. And one more thing that people ask very often, like principal officer.
Hi.
So people ask me पहले लेना है बाद में ले सकते हैं क्या कर सकते हैं do we need at the time of application, can we take it later on? So what's your take on that?
So for the principal officers, that we say them the KMPs for any
Yeah.
that matter, that is PO and
Yeah.
CO and additional KMP
Yeah.
is there. It's a key requirement for our evaluation process. So it has to be there at the time of filing itself.
Okay. Okay. And one
So
more thing, people want to know that मतलब पूछते हैं regarding net worth. Can I give the net worth later on, or at the time of application, my company should have that much of net worth? So what's that? One clarification on that as well.
what we seek is like you have to bring that net worth once you get the registration here. So at the time of filing application, we only look into that you should have that net worth. Otherwise, how are you gonna bring it to once you get the registration? So you have to bring it in once you get the in principle approval from us for the FM. So once it is there, you have to bring in the net worth.
So is it something some days or like or when I make application that money should be there in the account of FME?
No, once you made an application and after the all the evaluation process, it's in principle approval is there. So once you get the in principle approval, then you have to bring in
Okay.
the net worth after
Okay.
the in principle approval because there are some formalities at the back end. The RBI gives permission and
Yeah.
some background process there. It takes a bit time, but it should be there after in
So,
principle.
so there is one, I think we have crossed a lot of time. We have taken a lot of time of both the panelists. But one last question, which I'll ask or to Meher. What could be scenario and benefit to retail investors investing from India to Gift City Fund?
Retail investors. Okay, so first is they could essentially be investing into the global markets.
Yeah.
B benefit is like operationally, it could. I mean, nothing. इतना change शायद होगा नहीं, because even if they are looking directly at a global fund which is, let's say, domiciled in a Dubai or a Singapore, so the LRS will apply definitely.
Mm, mm.
They will have to pay the 20% TCS also if it is especially a bigger amount.
Yeah.
So those kind of things. So operationally, it may not be such a big change.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the advantage is that number one, your money is remitted offshore, but still it is governed. The person, or let's say the entity managing your funds, is governed by an Indian regulator.
Mm,
And this, at times really becomes a very, very critical, factor for comfort as well. Because today, I mean, let's ask a very simple question: that if, let's say, you are an investor and you have funds remitted offshore, where would you be more comfortable holding it? Some other country where things can really, for whatever reason, again, you really don't want to get into the geopolitics, but for whatever reason, if there is any, let's say, any challenge in the host country, in the other country, and if suddenly there is the assets get frozen or anything like that, if you are not able to access your funds, what could be the remedy that you potentially have? But here in this case, so will that be of comfort to you? Or will the gift city be of comfort to you, where you know for a fact that number one, it is an Indian regulator. Number two, the asset manager, okay, the investment fund, the fund management entity, okay, the entire investment management team. So that is, located quite literally onshore. Onshore as an inside gift city only. But, it is in the territorial, let's say, jurisdiction of India. So there is, the reach, or the communication is much more seamless. You will always have a face to the service, because many a times, let's say you invest in some structures abroad, you may not always be able to interact directly with your money manager or asset manager. But here, because largely in India, businesses are getting built on trust. So the trust factor is very, very high. And I'll just reiterate a point that I mentioned, that because the regulatory framework itself permits you, allows you a lot of different avenues, by way of, let's say, the FME regime. So, in terms of the investing experience, again, nothing is different. It is pretty much the same. So the advantages, more are more on the trust and the comfort factor of having an Indian regulator and an Indian asset manager.
So from the tax and foreign exchange perspective, it remains the same.
It remains the
It
same,
remains
yes.
the
So
same.
but this is, I mean, this is one thing which everyone can even tell their clients, because the
Yeah.
moment, so global product, the income from a global product will be taxable to
Yeah.
resident Indians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many investors at times will come and ask us that, अरे gift city में तो tax exemption है, तो हम tax
Mm.
क्यों भरे इस पे? So we really draw the lines very clearly here, that the tax exemptions are for entities, setting up businesses there, and not necessarily for investors. Any investor who would otherwise become taxable in a similar structure should not be given an exemption merely because that person is coming to Gift City. So investors के लिए it is, the income is surely taxable. This
So
is
you
something which
mentioned,
we,
yeah, please, yes,
yeah, yeah, no,
please.
no, please go on.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned one thing, geopolitical. So lot of, just for the information of the participants, lot of foreign investors are choosing Gift City, India, a country as a such, to put up their funds because of very stable geopolitical situation in India, because of very
Mm,
stable political situation and commanding, I would say, stable and commanding country. So people are very happy to be here, foreign investors, so that अभी तो एक रशियन क्लाइंट है, वो कहता है मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इंडियन फ्लैग की कंपनी को कोई सैंक्शन नहीं लगा सकता. That's why they want to set up company here or the business in Gift City. So these kind of notions are, if you are advised, somebody is advising your client, so geopolitical stability, you should include pitch in your pitch that India provides a very stable and commanding
very, very
geopolitical state.
stable, very clear-cut regulations also.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a combination of trust, safety, and comfort.
So we'll close by one last question from Paras, which is there asked by the persons. Once a company gets an FME license, for every scheme we offer or launch under it, will there be a separate capital contribution to each such scheme, or there is a mechanism for a single payment for cover participation in multiple schemes? So generally he's asking that if a single FME launching different schemes, so the contribution is once or for all separate?
For all.
So all the funds and this or say schemes are registered separately here. So the investor agreement and the contribution agreement are signed differently with the scheme and the investor. So I think that the money should be between an scheme and an investor, be
Yeah.
it by the same FME or same investor or different investors. The contribution agreement should be between the scheme fund and the investor. I think it should be separate.
Yeah. So if a single FME is launching various funds, so for each fund contribution has to be separate. It cannot be one contribution. Suppose an FME have launched 3 funds, so there should be for each separate fund 3 times he has to see the contribution as per the regulation. So I think that makes us that brings us to conclusion of this webinar. I think we have gone 15-16 minutes, but it was pleasure talking to you, Mihir and Paras, and I think our participants would have definitely got some insight. They should come inside the fence, do not sit outside or on the fence, and we'll be touching up more issues and more insights on Gift City in our future webinars. So thank you, Mihir, and thank you, Paras, once again for being with us.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Samir.
participants.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
everyone.
Thank you, Paras as well. Great insights. Thank you, Samir sir.
Thank
You know, lovely event, lovely session.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As India Juris, we aim to be the best place for the lawyers to work in and set up standards for the lawyers to develop their skills being in this law firm. We aim to provide high standard of international legal services to our international, global and domestic clients.
India Juris is having innovative strategies with regard to intellectual property rights disputes as well as international dispute resolution. And we are having a lot of milestones which we have achieved and about to achieve.
At India Juris, as a full-fledged law firm, we are advising corporates, startups for their advice on IPOs and further transactional matters.
As India Juris, we aim to be the best place for the lawyers to work in and set up